All right. I think we are live, Marika. I'm going to close this down so we don't get that silly echo. So excited to be here with you for this conversation. For all of those who are joining us live, we're so pumped to be here with you today. We're just having a conversation about how you can thrive as a busy working mama. And my friend Marika is an incredible example of this. She has her own business. She is a beautiful human being who has done so much work on really making her life the way that she wants it. And it's just such a beautiful experience to share. So I'm super pumped that she's here with us today. So we're just going to have a conversation together on how life used to be, how life is, and how we close that gap to really get to where we want to be. So we're focusing on moms today, but I will also bring the perspective of non-moms throughout the conversation when it comes up, because I'm a non-mom and she's a mom. So you'll get like the whole package today. So we're super pumped to be here. Thank you so much, Marika, for joining me. And let's just hop right in and talk a little bit about your journey and where this all began for you in terms of taking better care of you.
Well, first off, thank you so much, Pam, for having me. I really appreciate this. And you, of course, you know how amazing I think you are. The journey as far as getting my business going, making that decision, uh, was kind of just sort of, I guess it kind of naturally evolved. But I mean, I love how kind of the synchronicity of it all sort of plays out beautifully when you actually can reflect back. But I was planning on going back to employment, regular employment work for fall 2020. Oops, fall 2020. Once my at the time youngest daughter would start kindergarten, because both kids are in school, go back to work. Well, that didn't happen because it turned out I was pregnant with our third, and would be delivering her in October 2020 or 2021. Sorry, I should say 2021 is planning on doing this, and yeah, so that changed. That threw a bit of a wrench in my plans, to say the least. A welcome wrench, a very welcomed wrench. Let's call her that right now. So that just shifted things. But I'd got in my mind that I was going to be back in the workforce because I'd taken like 5, 6 years off after my second child, to just be a stay-at-home mom and focus on all things motherhood, household, all of that. My son had some medical needs, so there was a lot of appointments, and it just made more sense. My husband was on board with that, so that's what we did. And then it just, as my third, started to grow, and I started really working on myself, because that's a whole part of the journey as well, with that involvement, of finding out about the pregnancy and how different that was, because it really started just prior to that, but about really getting my own head on straight, like really dealing with the stuff that I've been pushing aside, not dealing with. And about, would it be almost a year prior to that pregnancy, and my dad had passed away. So I had started really, I got shoved in the face, like anvil over the head, like you need to fix some things in your life because you're spiraling out of control. So lose my dad, find I'm surprised pregnant, along with all the other stuff that was going on in the world at the time. It was just a lot to take on. So I really started working on myself and addressing all the things I need to do, even the ugly things that didn't feel so good. But I knew I had to, especially for my other two children, for myself, and now this new baby, because I struggled badly with postpartum depression, and anxiety after the first two, and I wasn't doing it again. Like, it just was not happening again. And I think that sort of got the ball rolling to really think about what I wanted my life to look like after she was born, the third child was born, and gave me so through that process get a lot more clarity. And this idea of still going back to work was still there. Like, I'd got in my head, I've always been a very, like, there's the corporate ladder and I'm climbing it to the top. And I've always been driven like that. So it was weird to shift to a stay-at-home mom. And I've always sort of felt like I needed a bit more. Not that motherhood, stay-at-home moms is not a crazy busy job, because I know it is. But I just felt like I needed something that was only for me. And for me, that was some kind of form, came in the form of work. And I decided that once my youngest was, she would have been about 2, so this past October, that I would launch a business, because I've been working on it since the spring, taking on clients here and there, but nothing too serious. And then I just decided to just go for it because I really was just lit up and enjoying it. So, and at that point, I had done so much inner work that I was able to check in with myself about what felt right. Like I made sure I found the right daycare for her to go to. It wasn't, and I went to a few, and the one I chose is a bit of a drive, but I'm happy with it. It's amazing. Like I said, everything falls into place for a reason. Where we live, there's a daycare wait list for apparently years. Like you get pregnant and you have to go on a wait list.
Wow.
But I, yeah, I know it's crazy. I found just like this one worked out beautifully. Like I couldn't have asked for anything better. Like it's, yeah, it's just perfect. So I feel good about her going there. Like it is hard to, I'd like to spend some more time with her while I've got her home and little. But at the same point, I found a really good balance of having her daycare, getting to do work that fulfills me and lights me up. And then also when I have the kids home and her home, because I said I'll keep her home on some days just so we can have an Emily mom day. And I really make the most of it. Like I'm just present and really enjoying it. So yeah, that's kind of how it all led up to starting the business in the fall.
That's amazing. So good. So you mentioned a couple of things I want to touch on. So like the clarity piece, really getting clarity on what it is that you wanted big picture. I mean, I think that's sometimes hard for moms, right? Because like you're very much in the moment of taking care of children. So like how is it that you came to this place of knowing there's more available for me here? Like to get out of that busy mom hustle, because three littles, that's a lot.
Yeah. Um, I think I did feel like it was always in me that I wanted something more. I will say that I had my own business when I was 15, so I had experience being an entrepreneur before, and I think that was sort of it's been in my blood since then, so to speak. Like it's just like in me, like because the idea of going back to work for someone that kept giving me resistance. I was like, oh, that feels yucky. Like, and even though I didn't even have a lot of negative work experiences, like the job I left when I went on maternity leave, I loved the job. Like it was a great job. The environment was amazing. Like there was no complaints. And the only complaint, I guess, would be the fact that it was a long commute. Like, because that wasn't so much fun. But the environment was good. So just that figuring out what it was that I really wanted, and that also it's hard to explain, but like putting down the I always put so many barriers, like the why I can't. I always would talk myself out of things, like why I can't, and I had to let that go. Be like, no, why can't you? Like that's a better question to ask. Like, why can't we do this? Like, no, like you've done it before. You were 15 years old when you had your own business. Like, why the heck can't you do it as a grown adult? Right? Like it sounds silly. Um, and so just, like switching the I can'ts to I can, that was, a big one. And then really just drilling down what made like really filled me up and what I felt good about putting out there. Because as you know, like I've looked at a few different things. And those are still big parts of me and parts of my life, and actually things that I incorporate into my marketing business. But it was the actual marketing, the building, the actual tactical things of building the websites and email campaigns and funnels and Facebook ads, like all that stuff that just some think it's silly, but it just lights me up to actually get to see your work in action. And I love that part of it. So I've been able to find a good bring things together. So with working with clients who are predominantly my clients, not all of them are moms, like just that's their business, just one person doing this. I'm also able to we put in some of the mindset work as well into there about getting clarity and making sure you've got your priorities. Like I want to be able to take things off other people's plates to give them some more family time because that's what I craved. And then it's kind of in reverse. This is also giving me some good balance. So it was really getting clear on what I wanted to give and then what I wanted for myself from it and finding out how to sort of marry those two things.
That's amazing. Like it's so important, that clarity piece, and it's not something that people often talk about. So I was really excited when when you mentioned it, and also the inner work piece. So like you and I have worked together on this specifically. So like we know the value of this work. For those of you who may not know, America and I were in a container together where we really did some deep personal work on ourselves to really help us become this version of ourselves where we're super, excited and lit up about our lives. So what specifically, like what practices do you think supported you the most as you started stepping into this new life for yourself?
Well, that's a good question. Um, I'd have to say it's a combination of things because it is not, yeah, it's not really one thing. It was also more of the overall shift and the migration of how things evolved. But some of
Mhm.
the actual like the very first thing I started doing it was after my dad passed, and I was like realizing I was heading downhill fast mentally, and I was like, I can't right now. It'd be so easy to do right now. I've unexpectedly lost my dad. I'm trying to support my mom. I'm trying to deal with this house. I'm trying to deal with the estate. The world is shut down because this is 2020. And it just felt like so much. So what I started to do is a gratitude practice. That was my number one thing. Actually, a friend of mine mailed me when she heard my dad. She um, FedEx, what's it like the overnight, like the fast one, a care package, and in there she gave me this beautiful journal, and she said, ask me to just write even one or two gratitudes. She's like, it's just that was her thing to help me, and it was like the best thing ever because it just started me off, and it also the action of her doing that was a good reminder that I'm loved and I'm supported and I can do this. I'm not alone. So it was like there was a lot going on with just this simple FedEx box that arrived. And but that would be if you're like specific practice was the gratitude practice. Focusing and that started out
Yeah.
being what was I grateful for with my dad? Like and that of course evolved from there. Then as with the container you mentioned that we were in together, I started that like right after I found out I was pregnant. Like that was also the catalyst for like I need to like up my game here because I'm not going back into postpartum depression, anxiety, blah again. And so by that point, I was already doing a lot more. My graduate practice was consistent. I'd also done just even little things like cleaning up my social media feed. So I would only see what I wanted to see, because I found we weren't really socializing a lot at the time. And when I would take breaks from dealing with estate stuff or moving or packing up things, because we also packed up two houses and sold them. And anyways, you go on your phone. And I was like, I can't be looking at my feed, taking this time for myself and looking at stuff that's not good for me. So that was another big thing was cleaning up my social media feed. As I said the other day, like now I go in there and it's just, there's like awesomeness. Like this is all great. um, and then it just sort of I kept just adding layers. Like I just slowly was adding different things that felt right at the time. We took that other program together about habit stacking, and that was a good one too to help me. That's when I started meditating. That would be another one because I never ever thought I would meditate. That just seemed like it was for somebody else, not for me. And that was probably still is my favorite, one of my favorite practices, just taking the time. And at first it was 5 minutes, like it literally was 5 minutes. And as you know, you've heard me talk too, that I would still find ways to work it in throughout the day, like drop the kids off. And before I come in the house, sit in my van in the driveway and meditate for 10 minutes. I often do it again later in the day, but that way I knew I was getting it done. Like it was committed to doing it. It was happening. I might be sitting in my van in my driveway, but I found a way to just tune in to make that like I never realized how many birds were around because I could hear them, just little things just sitting in my driveway. But it was about making it work, like making these habits work in my schedule. So yeah, the gratitude, the meditating, some journaling, I am journaling, and then later on adding scripting in was a big help. But that's the overall thing was also the support, like really it's gonna be a touchy subject, but looking at who's in your circle, who you spend your time with. And I found there's some shifts happen there, mostly just naturally, not really intentionally, that people kind of vibrate out who maybe aren't as aligned with you, and other people vibrate in. You,
Yes.
case in point, you just come in at the right time, right? So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I totally all of those things. I always say the very first thing that I recommend that people do when they're really trying to get more in tune with themselves is a gratitude practice. It's so valuable. Like it just really helps you tune into what's good because when things are kind of unraveling in your life or when you're struggling a little or there seems to be a challenge around every corner, it's really hard to remember all the blessings that we have. So really intentionally tuning into that and taking the time, like a gratitude practice is a daily part of my life. It's how I finish every day. And it is so valuable to like really helping me just remember how good I really have it and remembering what's so good and anchoring into that while you're making the slow changes over time because like you said like it's layering, right? Like you want to layer upon layer upon layer. You can't change it all overnight. It's not going to snap your fingers. And yes, having that support like that, it was being in that container with you with this amazing group of women that we were together with was one of the most meaningful experiences of my entire life and shifted my entire life. So asking for help and knowing that there are people out there to support you and who have your back and who are really going to challenge you to stay on track to who it is that you ultimately want to be because that's really what it's about. It's not about the things that you do. We don't want to add more things to the list of things to do. Really want you to get in tune with who you are at your core so that you can really step into that version of you that has the life that you want. Like it really is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I really appreciate that you touched on all those. And it's been such a valuable experience for me too. And I see, like, I would just love to know how that shifted your relationship with like your kids and your husband. And because I know it changed all my relationships so much. Yes, we had people vibrate out, vibrate in, also happened to me, which was all perfect and all serving us because life is meant to change and evolve and be exciting and all those things but I had such a meaningful making these shifts in my life really helped me be a better wife, be a better daughter, be a better friend, and really allowed me to show who I was, to drop those like people pleasing tendencies. Like it, I mean, we all know that those exist, right? It's like guilt over not being a good enough mom, not being a good enough friend, not being like all of us carry that. All of us feel like there's more we could be doing to support others in our lives. But really, it comes back to supporting yourself so that you
Mm.
can be that support for others. So, how have your relationships changed and shifted by doing this kind of work?
Oh, well, not definitely for the positive. Um, it's also allowed me to be more like tuned in to other people's needs because I wasn't so focused on my needs not being met, whereas that was sort of the victimhood I was living in before, but my needs not being met here, mine, that sort of a thing. So then it was like everyone else's fault, not, and then of course projecting that out is just a big ball of crap on the world. Like that's just no one feels good in my vicinity, you know, like that. So shifting out of away from that and being sort of, well, what can I give to the situation? What can I do to improve the situation? And it kind of then you just start working, for myself, but then it also was improving how people were interacting with me. So, and then just your ripple effect out. Like it's also been amazing just because, like I mentioned about my dad passing. So my mom had, for those who don't know, we bought a house and had her move into the suite here with us. And it's been interesting to see, and I've shared with you, I know a few times, about how the ripple effect has like gone to her because, and I was like, things she says, I'm like, oh, I know where you got that from. Like, that's kind of cool to see. But without it directly going, you need to do this to somebody, but just by doing it for yourself. And then all of a sudden you realize there's people around you like doing the same thing, like trying to better themselves. Like that is pretty awesome to hear. Like my daughter, who at the time would have been, I think it was when she was 5 or 6, it was a couple years ago now, or a year or so ago now. She was really scared, having a tough time with doing something on a zip line thing on a playground. And I said, no, sweetie, like, you can do it. Like, you just tell yourself, like, I am brave, I'm strong, like, you can do it. And ever since then, I hear her mutter to herself every now and again when she's doing something she's not sure about. She's like, I'm a brave, strong girl. I can do that. You know, like as she starts like talking to herself, it's just like it was just this random moment at a park. You just sort of say these things. And yeah, I had good intentions. And obviously I was trying to support her. But the fact that she's still doing this, like probably almost 2 years later, that I still hear her struggling with reading or struggling like with a home, like, whatever it is. I'm a brave, strong girl. I can do this. Like, it's just kind of cool to see the work when we're doing it for ourselves to ripple out to our family and like seeing friends that are working on themselves. And now, because I say I'm doing some of the personal work and I'm talking to them about it, they're more open to talking about it because they're like, oh, okay, now I don't have to be so closeted about this. And then we're seeing successes together. Like, that's pretty awesome. So, and being able to communicate better with my husband. So that relationship's improved as well, and better understanding his needs, being more patient, because that was a big one. But also the reverse, like I'm finding he's interacting in a better way with me as well. Like it's going both ways, and it wasn't super intentional like that. I mean, obviously is a goal, but it wasn't consciously like this must happen. Like I got to make this happen, and it just sort of evolved to that.
Yes, those are the amazing results, right? The results that come from just doing it for yourself. And I think that that's where a lot of people miss it, is that it feels selfish, but really it's a gift to everyone. Like when you're taking care of yourself in that way, when you're giving yourself what you need, when you're meeting your own needs, because we rely so much on other people to meet our needs for us. But really, what we need is within us, and we can give to ourselves, and that makes every part of our life better. Like, and this translate across the board, right? Like, translates in movement and eating, and how you just show up in everything that you do by implementing the personal and spiritual practices. So, like, it makes me so excited. Like, it's so exciting. And I have had the same experiences, like way more patient. I used to be so impatient, like so impatient. And my communication was just, I always took everything really personally. It was always a story, right? I made up this story about what something meant. And well, if you did this, it means that you don't respect me, you don't love me, you don't appreciate me. When really, it could just be something completely unrelated. So really learning the skills of, is this a story that I'm telling myself, or is it actually true? There were so many things that were not true that I was carrying around like this heavy burden in my life. So being able to release that, to let it go, and to challenge myself in the moment, absolutely an incredible gift and skill that has changed everything about how I show up in my life. So it really is amazing how it translates. And you're right, that ripple effect is just the impact. You don't even know how much of an impact that you're making. You have no idea like how far reaching it really is when you take the time to nurture yourself and give yourself what you need.
Yeah, it's I don't you remember that we did the book The Magic together, right? That's the one that's got a lot about gratitude in it. And there's one part in there about expressing gratitude for like what's the one of the word the category it fell under, but like store clerks, like staff in a store, let's say a grocery store. And it's funny, it's just a little thing, but I found that just doing that, and that also evolved to just being appreciative of other shoppers. Like someone just steps aside to let you buy, you know, it's just, just the brief interaction about it. Like I found like I can go now to Costco, which can be a gong show. And I've had like I went there the week before Christmas because I needed to. I would have preferred to avoid it, but it went like crazy amazingly good. And I ended up having an interaction with a shopper in there about something in her cart, and we were chatting about it. And it's like this awesome conversation happened. And we both had, I think she had seemed to enjoy it. I enjoyed it. And just like those interactions. And I've had people say, like, in the store, when you just show appreciation for something they did or they helped you, like the act just taking those few seconds to be like, thank you so much. That really helped me XYZ, whatever it was. Having someone go back and be like, wow, like thank you, like that, I like having felt seen, I know they feel amazing, I feel good. And then you think about it, like that ripple effect, like even because the other person don't always react or respond, they go about their day, but just it's probably impacted their day positively, and it didn't really take any more effort out of me. And I find that when we're starting to practice gratitude, it just sort of comes more naturally. Like now it just sort of happens more naturally. And then of course you see like my kids doing it more often and things like that. So it is that kind of ripple effect of things just being put out there.
Yes, I don't think I ever go to a grocery store without thinking about you. Because I used to hate grocery shopping so much. Like it was a hatred that was deep in my soul. It was like I would avoid it at all costs. I would not want to do it. It was the crowds, it was the busyness. It was like I saw everything that came with it was just a bad experience for me. So like when I really learned about setting intentions and really
Mm.
going in with the intention that it was going to be like a really good experience, that I was going to find a parking spot. Like every time I think about a parking spot, I think about you. And I always get a good parking spot. Like I always get a good parking spot. To get a good parking spot, I get everything that I need. It's a positive experience. I interact with people. I smile at people. And when you go in with that energy, like when you're going into something that is less than desirable for you with the energy of this is going to be good, it gets so good. It's seriously like magic. It's really getting out of autopilot and practicing that awareness. Like the awareness of it is everything, because so many people are just on autopilot, and especially moms who are so busy and you have so much on your plate already. And it's like, I have to raise and take care of and keep these humans alive. And I have to be a good friend, and I have to be a good worker, and I have like, there's so much pressure. So really just bringing an awareness to your thoughts, your feelings, what's going on inside of you, and speaking them out loud and allowing yourself to feel it, and allowing yourself to accept the things about yourself that may not be the most desirable, and really look at it. Like there were so many things
Mm.
about myself that I didn't like, that I was afraid to look at. And it was like, well, it's still there whether I look at it or not. So like might as well have a look and be like, okay, I don't love this. How can I change it? And sometimes it's really those small tweaks, like the literal, like I always joke about this, but it really has enhanced my experience of the grocery store. Like to really set the intention that it's going to go well. Like we are conditioned to expect the worst. And I think when you get out of that mindset and into like expecting the best, really it brings more of that to you. Like it's amazing. It's that manifestation magic, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And you touched on earlier about like the people pleasing that kind of comes along with that, those old habits of, you know, trying to just make sure everyone else is happy and not like taking care of our own needs. But what is that, and I also I like I've shared with you too with I've learned those lessons seeing other people. When I start addressing my own people pleasing behavior, you start tuning in and you see it happening in somebody else. It's like interesting because it's like you see that resentment build. And you're like, okay, yeah, I can see why I didn't. That's not a great way to live. Like I found that was also interesting going through that process. Like when you start seeing these things in other people, and then so you just see it from a different perspective. Because that was like I'm like people pleaser, like for sure. Like that is a guilty thing of mine. But being able to address it and also tune into my own needs, and moving forward, I think it does benefit everybody for sure.
Oh, 100%. Like, definitely. Oh my gosh, this has been so good, America. That's amazing. I love chatting with you. And I'm so excited for you with your business. Tell us a little bit about your business and how it's going, and what it is like. You've already talked about how like bit of your mission and all that, but just go ahead and riff on a little bit more about it, because I just love to hear all the things about your business.
Sure. Yeah, so I officially launched it in the fall, Marketing Mavens. And what I'm doing is I am predominantly looking to support moms in their marketing efforts for their own businesses. I have, of course, attracted a lot of coaches, teachers, like online teachers, that sort of wheelhouse, service based. They're all service based providers. Not to say I'm not open to product based providers as well. My really big mission is to support moms to help take off what I can off their plates, so to give them back some more family time and some more time for themselves. Because ultimately I'm trying to I want to do what I so desperately needed, back in the day, like that, just to feel that support. Like that was kind of where I was coming from on this, like, how can I support moms on this journey, um, in early motherhood, especially. And this was where it just naturally went to. So I am doing a lot with, like I said, marketing activities for businesses. So a lot of website stuff, email, social media, like Facebook ads. I get involved a lot with strategy, which is so much fun. I love doing that. I can have client calls or like a strategy brainstorming session, and we both just like it's fun. It's just fun. And yeah, so it's just been there's all sort of things, like I find every client's different, their needs and their strengths and what, like I have one client who needs a lot of extra support in many areas, and we go very slowly, which is fine because that works for her. But I have another client who can do, like, she's fabulous at a bunch of these things that I would normally do for clients. I'm like, great, you take that on. I'll focus on the stuff that you don't feel as cool, as good about. And her business is just like, we're just barreling forward through her like to-do list, so to speak. Like we're just getting through it all. Things are just growing, and she's just on this amazing roll of growth in her business. And it's all at a pace so that she's able to handle because of where she's at. And it's just working out beautifully. So it's kind of fun to see the different, I've got such a variety. And like I said, a lot of it is really tailoring what the different clients needs, but it is all around online marketing based. I think what else, like with content creation, blogging. I think I said email marketing, workbook creation. I've got that's on my to-do list today. Um, so those sort of things, but it's all fun because it's like it we cross paths with the right people at the right time, right? I can't ask for better clients. Like it just all sort of works out beautifully, um about how things worked out. And I've recently added someone new to my team, so that's expanding. I'm looking to add one more, because I'm fully booked right now, which is great. And then some, because that's why I've hired somebody. So yeah, it definitely is a passion, and I probably, you can see it lights me up because it's something I love doing. I've been in the marketing world for so long now, and I'm getting to use it in a way that I really feel good about. Like I really feel good about this. Like I was talking to a client last week, and we are talking about, genuine and ethical marketing, and we're talking about Facebook ads. And like, how do we do this, like, to make us feel good about how we're marketing the business? And I was like, so it was a really great conversation. We really went pretty deep on it about what felt good for her, and just to be authentic. And it was a really neat conversation to have. Um, but that is really it. It's like, how can I support moms? Because to give them back the time they need and deserve and should be taking for themselves and with their families, while I get to do things that I love doing. Because, like, I'll say, building a website, that is so much fun to me. I know it's not everyone's wheelhouse, but it is, I love that sort of stuff. So someone doesn't want to do that, I'm all for it because it lights me up. It also gives then me that fulfillment and satisfaction. And I'm then going to my own family in this fantastic mood, feeling like I've got something for myself. Because to me, it's work, but it's also a form of self-care, because it's like a hobby in a way. Like you do hobbies that fill you up. Well, this is filling me up. Like I'm getting to do something that I love while helping people. Because that was, how I started out a few years ago with how I can help moms on this journey, especially in early motherhood, and how that shifted and how it's also kind of come together. Because I do find the vast majority of my conversations are also involving the inner work, the personal development, the mindset work in how when we're doing our marketing efforts. Like it's just funny how it all, I never really thought about it before this, but how it all kind of brings it together. um because I mean, the biggest thing I hear about with moms is like mom guilt, and like the taking the time for themselves. And I'm not guilt free. I'm fully honest. Like there's still moments where I'm like, what have I done? My baby's in daycare. But it is about shifting that and how to address that and work through it. So if I'm able to help somebody else with that as well, because I know I've been there, and now I've had to work, even we still get reminders, like, as you know, this is an ongoing uh we're all a work of art that's ongoing, right? Like it's just something we're always evolving. So things come up, and so it's interesting, as things come up for me, I can share them, my own personal experiences, or hurdles or roadblocks, you could say, and then help clients through that as well. So I'm finding that bringing everything together has been beneficial for me and for clients because my cup's getting filled, which is great, and so is theirs. So that's kind of where I've been working on growing my business.
That's amazing. Like, it's so exciting. Like, there's so many things in there that I love. Like, having that ethical piece is so important. Like, coming at it from an aligned place where it really does feel good and you want to help someone else feel good. And it really is giving everyone what they need. Totally resonate with that. Totally love it. And of course, that my Facebook community is actually called Mind, Body, Soul Connection. So it really is about connecting all those things to give yourself the best possible experience in this once in a lifetime experience that we're experiencing right now. Like, it really is you hear me say experience a lot because it is about how you experience it. It's not just about creating a life that you love, but are you experiencing it in a way that makes you happy and really fills you up and really excites you and really is a measure of how you are meant to show up in the world? And I just think it's so important to enjoy the journey and to be really connected to yourself and what you want and what's important to you, and how that really does have an impact on everyone else in your life. And someday
Mhm.
I will be hiring that will happen in my lifetime. I'm manifesting her, because she is an incredible person and is incredible at what she does and has this amazing ability to kind of see, like, above where it is that you are so that you can really implement the systems that work for you. Like, I can just see how you have this bird's eye view of what's going on, and are able to really like help people fill the gaps. And of course, that's the kind of work that I do as well through coaching, is really because when you're a step away from from someone else, it's hard to be objective about yourself. Even myself, I find myself trying to coach myself. I'm like, I can't coach myself. I can help myself through a situation, but there are things that I can't see because I'm too close. So having that
Mhm.
support from inside of yourself, someone who can clearly see the gaps that you probably can't when you're so close to it, that zoom out ability is so invaluable, and getting that support. And so we're going to get Marika to pop her information into the comments when we're done here so that anyone who is interested in talking to her can get all her information, because she is an amazing, amazing person with incredible skills. And I just am so grateful to know her, to call her a friend. And I'm so glad that we were able to have this conversation today. And I'm also going to be popping my group information, my free group information down below. And we actually have a new masterclass that's starting on February 1st. I'm going to be talking about that a lot over the next 2 weeks. It's Activate Your Energy. It really is about that activating your energy so that you really can be lit up and feel good in your body and feel good about who you are, and really being at home with you, like learning to love yourself so that you can give yourself what you need every step of the way, no matter what that is in, like, because it translates across the spectrum. What you do over here affects what you do over here. So it really, it's beautiful how connected it really is. So glad we were able to do this. Are there any final thoughts, Marika, before we sign off?
No, I should say I'm glad we got to do this and connect. And of course, Pam, I adore you. I'm just so grateful to have you in my life, and you've had such a positive impact on me. And I love following you on Facebook and absorbing all the goodness that you put out there as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time with us today, everyone. This replay will be put up inside Mind, Body, Soul Connection as well. So if you wanted to come back and refer to any of it at any time, you certainly can. In the meantime, all the love and light from my heart to yours. Take care of you. Thanks so much.